So why don't we start here?
Yes.
Iowa State 24, Kansas State 21. This was the first game of the college football season. They played it over in Ireland at Aviva Stadium, as is I guess, our new tradition now on week 0. This is a thing that we're doing.
I think Belichick, if he's still with North Carolina, I think it's North Carolina next year, right?
North Carolina, TCU. So this year it's stateside, but next year they're going to be the ones going abroad and playing over at Aviva Stadium. So they're getting some good games. Of course, the one last year was pretty important.
Yes.
The one that we've had this season so far, I think is going to have big-time ramifications, certainly within the Big 12. It was Iowa State's third straight win over Kansas State. I believe the 5th in 6 tries now for Matt Campbell, who has seemingly had Kansas State's number. It was a rainy day in Ireland, Dan.
Yeah.
We had some very wicked audio delay on the broadcast. I don't know if you caught that in the beginning, but it was a sort of like they were broadcasting from the moon.
Mm-hmm. Did notice that.
Not the greatest set. Anytime you got an international broadcast, you have some of these weird kinks.
Yep.
I think they got it fixed. But at
New
the start,
score bug, by the way.
Score bug, yeah.
For ESPN. I thought it looked decent. I think it's still a little bit big, but, they're working through it.
I'd imagine a rather exciting moment for you at the beginning of this broadcast.
When
Taylor McGregor referenced coaching staves. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I didn't catch that. You told me about it. I was sort of not half watching this game, but I was audio on, audio off, so I missed it a little bit. But when you told me that, I'm influencing the influencers, Ty, once again. So I'm happy to do it.
I played it back. It was definitely a staves.
It was a hard V.
It was a hard V in there.
A hard LV.
We had the staves.
Love that.
So a comedy of errors. First 5 minutes of this game, we had a muff punt by Dylan Edwards. He got hurt on that play and didn't return, which is a bummer.
Yes.
We're going to have to pay attention to that one. Then K-State had a key interference call that went against them deep inside the red zone. It looked as if it was setting up for a touchdown drive for Iowa State. They subsequently fumbled a couple plays later. We had 4 turnovers, I believe, in the first half. It was an incredibly sloppy first half of football, Dan.
Yes.
The deeper we got into this thing, though, that's when we started to see it heating up. This is when we saw some back and forth. We saw some drama, some gigantic short yardage situations that I think ultimately decided this one. A really big balls moment by Matt Campbell late, going for it on 4th and 3, trying to ice it. They connect with Carson Hansen for a 15-yard first down. Got
Near
all the way
touchdown,
down the goal
yeah.
line. Almost scored. So this was a very, very interesting game that started off rocky and sloppy and then picked up a lot of steam as it went on.
Yes. It was a slow start television-wise. It was...
Oh, my God. To put it mildly, yes.
And it didn't turn me off, but it was like, okay, I'm excited to see how this game grows because it's a totally forgivable offense. Forget even the conditions on the field and the slickness of the rain earlier in the day. You're just traveling across the pond and playing. I think they got there Thursday, so it's not like they were fully acclimated. They were acclimated some. And in a stadium not intended for American football, so the sight lines are a little bit different than these guys are used to, but they have time. Everybody's playing on the same field. Everybody's dealing with the same conditions. But when you watch the first half of this game, conditions or not, you understand why coaches prefer scheduling down week 1. Get in a rhythm, get the cobwebs off. And there's just plenty of cobwebs. And the ball security was an issue. The decision-making was an issue. And throughout this game, both of these teams had issues popping bigger plays, at least until Kansas State did at the end. And I think Iowa State did a decent job through the air with intermediate passing, and they ran the ball better in the second half. It seemed things seemed to be closer to what we expected from these two teams in the second half. But, yeah, there was a good amount of slop and 3-and-outs and drops, and I'm not holding it against either of these teams in terms of my perception. It's, week 0 across the ocean. There were times where you're just like, man, Iowa State not getting anything done on offense, making mistakes, possibly giving the ball to the wrong running back in the first half a little bit too often.
Right.
And Kansas State really couldn't figure out things on offense for large swaths of time, though I think they ended up outgaining Iowa State both through the air, more efficient through the air, thanks to that. I think it was a 65-yard touchdown pass later on in the game. They ran the ball a little bit more consistently, even without Dylan Edwards on the field. But it was those fourth downs. It was the opportunities that Kansas State had and couldn't capitalize on, and it was ultimately Iowa State with Excelsior near the end of the game, right? It was Taylor Mauser, the offensive coordinator for Iowa State, and thankfully I would have been yelling at my TV, you don't kick the ball in that situation. Up 3, going up 6 with 2 minutes left doesn't do much for you, just in terms of the bad outcomes outweighing the good outcomes. So I was very happy to see Iowa State go for it. They had a play that they were pretty confident in. That's what Rocco Becht was talking about after the game. And they took care of business. That was an absolutely losable game for Iowa State that they pulled out. It was a well-coached, well-executed game. I was impressed with the offensive line as the game wore on for Iowa State. And Kansas State can win this conference. They can be just fine. But I don't know if I'm a Kansas State fan, if I'm thrilled with Matt Wells in this particular moment.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we track kind of what people say online, what fans of these teams say online, and there was a lot of disdain, let's say, for some of the coaching decisions, especially on fourth down. Fourth downs were an issue in this one. They were 1 of 4 on fourth downs. It's not bad
to go for it on fourth down, but you have to seem better equipped and better prepared, to me.
1 of 4, not a whole lot of faith in the kicker. The big one was later on in the game, about midway through the fourth quarter, they go for it on 4th and short from their own 30-yard line. Yep. They get stopped short. That sets up Rocco Becht scoring the touchdown, making it a 2-score game, a 10-point game, 24-14 at that juncture. Mm-hmm. And essentially that's what broke the serve. That gave them a little bit more wiggle room, and they were able to hold on and win this game.
Yeah.
So Kansas State fans, I think rightly, are questioning that move. I understand where they're coming from, though, because you got a guy like an Avery Johnson who seemed to come into his own the deeper we got into this game. I don't hate putting the ball in his hands. It just didn't work. And, of course, when it comes back to bite you like this, everybody's going to call it out. So, that he's going to have to answer for that. Chris Klieman is. But defensively, I thought both sides played pretty well defensively. But to your point, K-State wore down in the second half.
Yep.
They wore down in the second half, and Matt Campbell in the postgame talked about how he thought his offensive line did a good job. We saw Carson Hansen get on track in the fourth quarter. 59 rushing yards in the fourth quarter alone. Yep. You tack on top of it that big 15-yarder that they got through the passing game on 4th and 3 that basically put the game on ice. They were able to outlast K-State in this one, and we started to see that become more of a thing the deeper we got into the game. It started to feel as if it were going in their direction more and more with each passing second.
Agree with everything you said. Really nice win for Iowa State. Really nice win for the underbetters who...
Oh, my God. What an all-time bad beat if you took the over. So we're talking about Carson Hansen.
Yes.
15-yard gain, 4th and 3.
Swing pass. A really nice play call. Had room.
Had a linebacker matched up with them. It was a great call. Mm-hmm. Worked swimmingly. Almost got into the end zone. Was like an inch short.
Yeah, forearm kind of slid leading up to it. Yeah.
So rather than try to go for the touchdown and risk a fumble, rather than do anything that could really put them at risk, they knew they could take 3 knees.
Yes.
And just bleed the clock, which is exactly what they did.
Right.
As such, 24-21 is your final. The under hits. So they were right there if you bet the over.
49.5. I think was where it closed.
Incredible.
Yeah, point total. And 45 points, like a foot from going over. And I think Iowa State, once again, as an underdog, does not hit the over, or it's not part of an over hitting. And it's one of the surest things in college football betting. Iowa State, and I believe Iowa these past few years, when they're dogs, they just do not score enough in a losing effort or as underdogs to hit that over, be part of an over. Kansas State has some work to do, has some cleaning up to do. I think they'll be all right. I think a game like this can actually be super helpful, much more helpful than playing, Missouri State or something to start the season. All due respect to Missouri State. You're able to self-diagnose. For your consideration on any podcast player, search Solid Verbal, find us, and hit follow or subscribe. It's just that easy.
They're going to have a 4-game stretch now of very winnable games.
Totally.
Where they could get all these kinks worked out. I mean, even after halftime, they got better.
For sure.
And so I think, hopefully Dylan Edwards is okay. They can get him back out there. I mean, they ran the ball okay with Joe Jackson, but Dylan Edwards definitely gives them a bit of a new dynamic in the running back game. I was impressed with Avery Johnson. Yeah. I think it took him a little bit to get going, but I think he did a really good job down the stretch. Was able to create some of those explosive plays that we talked about on the preview, set up, I think, a little bit by the threat of him running. Like, that's where the double moves come in from the receivers and people bite down hard and then suddenly they're behind you. So we saw a little bit of that in this game. They were able to take advantage of it. I would expect we're going to see a lot more of it this season. And look, last but not least,
please,
the best of all Roccos, man, the Boar.
The Boar got it done. Help lead that game-winning drive
for
the game-sealing drive. Yeah.
I didn't want to get too far out over my skis, but I'm watching this game in the second quarter, and it just seems apparent to me, even though it was all defense in the first half, just seemed like he was the most in control out there. It seemed like he knew exactly what he was doing, where the ball was supposed to go. He didn't always get a whole lot of protection. That's probably a secondary conversation down the line, but truly looked like a veteran in the second half. And, there's still questions about what kind of pop they're going to have out wide, but he was just so in control in this game that I was really impressed. And look, if they can get a little bit more explosive on the ground, they weren't really in this game. Carson Hansen had a big second half, a big fourth quarter. They were still 2.8 yards per carry. So this was not like them blowing the lid off of this Kansas State defense on the ground or anything. But if they can get just a little bit more explosive on the ground, they're going to be a problem, man. They're going to be a problem. They're going to be a tough out all year long. This is a veteran team.
Oh, absolutely. My only other complaint was not enough cutaways to Anthony Becht in the crowd. Can we just get a shot of him? Can we just see how he's doing?
Man, Anthony Becht got more shots than Matt Campbell.
Anthony Becht needs to sell some shirt time to Visa, to what was the old boxing one? Golden Tee's the video game. There was, remember the boxers would get the tattoos that would stay on during of the old casinos.
Yeah. Right.
Now I'm forgetting. That's stupid for me to start bringing it up.
It's not Golden Nugget. It's I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Boxing. Here. Live Google boxing casino golden tattoo. That was Golden Palace. There you go.
Golden Palace. That's it.
And the other thing that just was frustrating, and it's not anyone's specific's fault that I can name. It was like watching a game on a field that was just in a pasture after a minute and a half. And I don't know what the solution is, but if rain is going to completely wipe out an ability of a television viewer to see where you are on the field clearly, we need to go back to do some painting R&D or something.
Well, they painted at halftime.
I know they did, and it lasted for about 47 seconds. Yeah.
It didn't make a lick of difference. When guys were sliding, it was like they were on a slip and slide out there. I saw some people online were talking about it, calling it a slip and slide. That's what it was.
Yeah, it looked like they were painting with Alfredo sauce. It did not stick at all.
It just did not work.
No. So we got to go. The good people at Aer Lingus and Aviva need to get back in the lab for next year, because that was a tough visual. That's all.
As we come on the air today, we're recording this around dinner time on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Still a bit in doubt with this UNLV game. We'll talk about it.
Sure.
At some point on our next episode. They have just now taken the lead, but was a rough start for the Dan Mullen era. We saw a little bit of both Alex Orgy and Alex Calandria as promised.
Anthony
got a lot more on the ground than really anywhere else, but bit of a slow start. For Mullen, there are, of course, a couple other games that we will talk about in passing on our next episode. Fresno, Kansas, Stanford, Hawaii, Western Kentucky's playing a game as well against Sam Houston. So we'll get into all that on the next episode, I promise you.
Yes.
But for now, congratulations to all the Iowa State people out there. It's a big Farmageddon win for you.
Yeah. A weird opening rivalry game abroad. Was pumped to see the support of Iowa State fans and Kansas State fans there in the crowd. Pretty cool.